So I tried to buy some Ripple yesterday, $10 worth. Because $10, what's that? If you lose $10, it's no big deal. So worst case scenario, Ripple turns out to be, let's just say worst case scenario, all cryptocurrency turns out to be a fad like the internet was going to be, right? Like people were saying about the internet in the 90s, it's just a fad. It's a passing fad. If that all turns out to be true, worst case, and all cryptocurrency is this bubble of Beanie Baby speculation, and the only reason that it's appreciating by billions of dollars in value from nothing in a few short years is because people are able to sell it to some greater fool for even more money, and then they can turn around and sell it to some other greater fool for even more money. If that's what it is, if it's a Ponzi scheme, then I'll lose $10. But if it's not a Ponzi scheme, if it's software protocols that solve specific problems in clever ways that create a lot of value, how often have we seen that make people millionaires and billionaires? How many times over the last 50 years have we seen valuable software solutions to problems people have that create wealth? Right? And that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what these payment protocols and verification systems and accounting systems based on the blockchain is they're very important and clever, useful software systems that create software programs that create a lot of value. They're inherently valuable. And they have, that could be the subject of like a 3-hour-long discussion, all the ways that they do create value. And I could talk about all the ways that they still suck, and yet people see the value in them as much as they do. So you have, for instance, in the 70s, you have like hobbyists getting into computing, right? And they're building personal computers at home, but not everybody had a computer yet. That's the stage we're at with cryptocurrency. People don't understand it. It's complicated. It's still for people who are engineering minded, who are able to understand it and able to use it, because it's still not easy to use, although it's getting there very rapidly, and it's going to happen a lot faster than it took for computers to get that way for the rest of us. So that's where we're at right now in the development of cryptocurrency. And just like computers back in the 70s, it's hard for the average person to even understand, and it's hard for the average person to use. And it does still suck in a lot of ways and have a lot of its own problems that you don't have when you're just using, like your institutional bank and your debit card, credit card, or ATM machine or whatever. And yet still, it's worth this much at this early stage in its development. People are valuing it this highly, and they're not turning around and selling it to the next greater fool. That's the thing. People are hanging on to it. People are hanging on to these Bitcoins. People are hanging on to these Bitcoin Cash coins, onto these Litecoins and Ethereum. People are hanging on to this cryptocurrency because they see so much more upside, and that is after it's gone from nothing less than 10 years ago to billions and billions of dollars in valuations. So I decided I'm going to buy some Ripple yesterday. Go ahead and get in on the fun. Ripple has shot up in the last week in value. Ripple is, at this point, the second most valuable cryptocurrency behind Bitcoin. It's been around for a while. The first version of it came out before Bitcoin, and it's got a lot of clients that use it. Like major finance companies use Ripple protocol for payment processing and real-time gross settlement. I don't understand it all, but I do understand that there are a lot of big players that are using it. It's a big deal. Bill Gates has had nice things to say about it. And anyways, it's just $10, right? So worst case, even if cryptocurrency, second worst case, cryptocurrency is absolutely a useful invention that solves specific problems, that is very valuable, that you can help make more valuable and bring to fruition by buying some and using it. Not just speculating with it, but buying some and using it. You can spend your cryptocurrency in a lot of places right now. Believe it or not. People will say you can't spend it, but you can spend it if you want. A lot of people just don't want to spend it. Second worst case scenario, cryptocurrency is a useful thing. Turns out to be every bit as revolutionary as the internet. It turns out to be the internet of money, and do for money and finance what the internet did for media and mail. Think of all the money we've saved on postage since the internet came out. Goodness gracious. Valuable software, saving people money and giving people better solutions that work better, that work faster, that have all kinds of benefits and characteristics that make it useful. All this turns out to be true, but Ripple itself just doesn't happen to be one of the ones that ends up going anywhere fast. Turns out Ripple, because right in the early days of the internet, you may have bet on AOL, and it still wouldn't have been a bad bet, but AOL's not around anymore, and the Google and Facebook, which didn't even exist in the early days of the internet, seem pretty dominant today, right? So who knows what any given crypto coin is going to do, even if cryptocurrency as a concept and as an industry ends up upending the world like the internet did. Let's say second case, worst case scenario, first worst case scenario turns out to be true, $10. It's nothing, right? But maybe neither of those turn out to be true. Maybe a great case scenario happens and this payment processor continues to grow as a company, and you can just get in for $10 and turn out to have helped support innovation that makes the world better, helps the world work better, and make a little money from it, or make a lot of money from it. Maybe best case scenario, right? What would $10 in the early days of Bitcoin be worth today? Like over $1 million, right? No joke. So $10. So I decided to go ahead and get into Ripple. As it turns out, the richest man in the world today, because of the meteoric rise of Ripple over the last week, is Chris Larsen, the executive chairman of Ripple. He's richer than Bill Gates now. He's richer than Warren Buffett. Of course, the media is saying, this puts him on paper as richer than Larry Ellison and Bill Gates and Warren Buffett. His implied wealth, the implied market value of Ripple puts him ahead of these guys on paper. Folks, he's not any more on paper with this than these guys are. Warren Buffett's wealth is on paper too. Bill Gates' wealth is on paper. The stock valuations are implied wealth, not any less than what people are buying Ripple for. That's what the market is valuating this at. And of course, it is speculative. its value is based on what they think it's going to do for us in the future. But that's what stocks are, and that's exactly the value of Bill Gates' fortune and Warren Buffett's fortune are calculated the same way. The market takes a guess. It says, we think we're going to get more out of Berkshire Hathaway. We think we're going to get more out of Microsoft. We think we're going to get even more out of it. So people demand the stock, and they buy more of it, and they buy more of it at higher prices because they think they can get even more than their higher price for it out of it. Just the inconsistent way that people talk about cryptocurrency, man. Just the total double standard against it. There's always this kind of, I don't know, this institutional, this establishmentarian bias against something because it's different or because it's new, maybe because they don't understand it, maybe because they're afraid of it, maybe because it's a threat to the status quo, and the people who are talking about it this way are doing okay in the status quo, and they would hate for their perfect world to change and for them to have to react in some way and go along with something new that's good. And, they could profit from it too. But instead they fight change. I just don't understand why you're going to fight good changes just because you've already got it good. You could have it better. Other people could have it better. But that's the way some people think. They're closed-minded. And they think that their wealth and their success in the world depends on keeping things from changing. But the more you're locked into that mindset, the worse a time you're going to have in the next few years, the next few decades, because change is going to be coming at you fast. So anyway, they're talking about it like it's implied wealth and like it's on paper. Well, that's what everything is. That's what the stock market is. And for reasons I won't go into, so we don't go too long on this video, on this audio, I think that there's a case to be made that it's even more implicit and more on paper with the stock market than it is with cryptocurrency. I won't get into it, but there's an awful lot of bullshit with Wall Street and with dollar-denominated stocks. And I think maybe a lot of you listening to this can already know what I would talk about. But I won't get into it for this. Anyway, congrats to Chris Larsen, the richest person in the world off a crypto coin on his 37% stake in Ripple. Oh my goodness, it is amazing to see just what 2018 has in store for us 4 days in. So anyway, I'll wrap this up quick. I went ahead and got an account with Bitstamp to go ahead and try and just buy a little bit of Ripple and just have my $10 worth of Ripple and be rooting for it a little harder because I have a Hamilton in there. I'm trying to dip. I am not very familiar. The concept I understand overall, and I see cryptocurrency just upending the entire world the way the internet did. But when it comes to the technical details of these, I do not know enough to invest any more. And but I intend to learn and educate myself about it very quickly over the rest of this year, over these coming months, and I'm going to share all the research I do with you and tell you what I think and what I've discovered and what I learn as I go on this journey, because I think this is probably the most important thing that anyone could be doing right now to make the world a more peaceful, more prosperous, more just, more safe, more healthy, more happy place, is take money and free it and make it a free market-based I want to say commodity, but I want to say another word. Market-based solution. Market-based solution to the need for a unit of account and a store of value and a medium of exchange. Money should be free, and for the last 100 years, it has been in the control of institutional financiers with the backing of the United States government, and the money that they make us use doesn't have to be the only money. And the money that they make us use is designed as a matter of record, as a matter of history and fact, is designed to help those who control it to steal from everybody who uses it. And even if it wasn't designed that way, you can just look at the graphs of the money supply and of the real purchasing power of money over the last 100 years since we went onto the Federal Reserve central banking system for the US dollar, and you can see that that has been the result. You can see that they have just stolen massive amounts of value, so much money from American workers and from the rest of the world, because the Federal Reserve uses the dollar to steal from the rest of the world with the help of the U.S. government and military industrial complex, which forces the rest of the world to use U.S. dollars to trade for petrol and other global commodities. And if you want to see an end to all of this military hegemony that has been the source of so much blood spilled and the source of so much endless fighting and killing, and if you want to see a world where people aren't struggling so hard when they shouldn't be because we've gotten so good at producing, and people shouldn't have to grind so hard, you should be able to enjoy a little bit of this, or should have the freedom to grind just as hard at something really personal and unique and human that gets their own voice out there and their own unique perspective and their own problem or their own whatever it is that they want to solve, or their own message that they want to send out to us to inspire us or entertain us or interest us in some way. If you want to see human freedom flourish and blossom over the rest of this decade and into the next decade, I don't think there's anything more important than we can be doing than taking control of money, which is the backbone of the economy, which is your life. I mean, your livelihood. And put that in the hands of the people and decentralize it. And let markets decide. Not a few people, but many people. To me, that's real democracy. Let's democratize money. Anyway, sorry for preaching at you so much. I feel very strongly about this. I feel very, very strongly about this. I think it's the most important thing we could be doing. So, I went on to Bitstamp yesterday just to buy $10 and get into this a little bit more. And they will, so the reason I went to Bitstamp. So, as I learn, man, I'm just going to tell you, man, woman, anybody, whatever you are, friend, person, libertarian, non-libertarian, whoever you are, vibrations in the one true God whose name is love. As I go through this process, I'm just going to tell you exactly what I do and why I do it and what I've learned along the way. So I just went to Ripple's website as I started reading more about Ripple, as I was investigating cryptocurrency, and see that Ripple's having a great week. They've been around a long time. If you go to their Twitter, they have 505,000 followers on Twitter. It's a pretty big deal. It's not a fly-by-night sort of thing. These guys seem to be a pretty well-established, pretty professional operation here with a pretty amazing product. I'm going to keep getting more details in my mind and understand them and explain them to you very clearly in an easy way to understand as soon as I understand them. So I went to Ripple's website, and so where can I buy? I would like to buy some. On the XRP tab, XRP is the short code name or whatever. I don't know what you call it. A little market abbreviation for Ripple is XRP. Go hover over that, and they say buy XRP. You scroll down, and they list exchanges that you can buy it from. So I just picked the first one is Bitstamp. Did some looking into them. They're legit. They've been around a while. A lot of people use them. And I went to Bitstamp and went to get an account. You have to get a verified account if you're going to buy cryptocurrency on that exchange. You have to get a verified account, so you have to give them your government ID, photo ID, your government photo ID, and your proof of residence, your name, address, your social security number. They verify you are who you say you are, not a terrorist. Then you get to buy some crypto from them. So I did this, and they say, status pending. Thank you for submitting your request. Unfortunately, we are currently experiencing high volumes of verification requests. I'm not surprised. Causing backlogs of up to 2 weeks before they are processed. We are working very hard to approve your request as quickly as possible. So everyone's getting in. This is good. Bitstamp, I'm waiting on you. No big deal. I can wait 2 weeks. No big deal at all. My time horizon is I'm not in a rush. Time horizon is very, very far off. I'm thinking about the future. So I'll go ahead and wait and get that. I may try one of these other exchanges, but I don't know. We'll see how much other things I get done today, but I'm going ahead and waiting on this verification from Bitstamp. Maybe it'll come back faster than 2 weeks. And I'll go ahead and buy that Ripple and see where it takes me. Thank you for listening. Please like and subscribe. If you go to the description on the video, there's a link to my website, my Twitter, my Facebook, and a couple of my wallets in case you want to send me, or my address for my wallets in case you want to send me any coin just to tip me. Say thanks for my thoughts. I'm trying to make a living this way, spreading the good news about cryptocurrency and helping people understand it better. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and I will talk to you on the next video.